The Orion border had never been this crowded. Hundreds of massive alien warships floated in the darkness, their glowing hulls reflecting the light of a distant blue star. The combined fleets of 7 of the most powerful empires had gathered. Here, their weapons charged, their shields active. The reason? A strange ship had been detected entering the border from deep, uncharted space. It was small compared to their battleships, only about 600 meters long, but it traveled without any known drive signature. It had appeared on scanners instantly. As if it had jumped from nothingness into real space, alien commanders whispered over encrypted channels. It's not one of ours. Not Empire, not Alliance. Nothing in the archives matches this hull design. Then it must be a pirate. Or something worse. The Supreme Admiral Jorkin of the craft Dominion, a tall reptilian with silver scales, leaned forward in his command chair. His voice was cold. We will surround it. If it resists, destroy it. The fleets began moving. Massive dreadnoughts and cruisers took formation, encircling the newcomer from all sides. And then, everything changed. The mysterious ship sent no messages, no warnings, no threats. It simply drifted forward at a slow, steady speed. Suddenly, a destroyer in the 5th Fleet reported total power loss. Its lights went out. Its weapons shut down. Its engines were dead. Seconds later, another ship went dark. Then another. Within minutes, 20 ships had fallen silent. Panic filled the channels. What is happening? Our systems are shutting down. I can't move the ship. It's like the controls are dead. Jorkin slammed his clawed fist on the armrest. Fire! Fire all weapons! Dozens of alien warships unleashed. Everything they had: plasma beams, railgun slugs, antimatter missiles. The dark ship was swallowed in light and explosions. When the fire cleared, it was still there. Not a single scratch on its black hull. Worse, now all communications went silent. Entire fleets couldn't talk to each other. The alien crews could only watch in horror as their systems failed one by one. The strange ship glided closer, its hull reflecting nothing, its shape smooth and sharp like a blade. Finally, its speakers came alive. A deep, calm voice echoed across every ship. This is the HSS Vengeance. Identify yourselves, or be erased. The growing fear the alien admirals froze. None of them had heard of this HSS Vengeance before. A smaller alien captain, a fur-covered Velnari, whispered to his crew. Vengeance, that word, it's human. The crew stared at him. Human? The primitive savages from the Sol system. The ones who were locked in their own world centuries ago? That's impossible. They never even left their planet. But the captain shook his head. Not anymore. The craft admiral tried to answer the message. Unknown vessel. This is Admiral Jorkin of the craft Dominion. You are unrestricted. His words cut off as the Vengeance emitted a low, pulsing hum. Every alien ship's weapons shut down. Engines froze. Even life support systems flickered, one by one. The galaxy's strongest warships were becoming dead metal in space. The unstoppable approach the Vengeance moved without haste. Its black hull seemed to drink in all light. No engines glowed, no thrusters burned. Yet it moved faster and faster, gliding straight toward the command dreadnought of Admiral Jorkin. Inside the alien ships, panic spread. Crews abandoned weapon stations and tried to reboot systems manually, but nothing worked. Screens flashed strange code they had never seen before. It was as if the ship wasn't just disabling them. It was inside their systems, controlling them. Jorkin shouted at his officers. Send for reinforcements. Call the other fleets. But there was no signal. No transmissions could escape the invisible field the Vengeance was projecting. The alien commanders, for the first time in centuries, felt helpless at first contact when the Vengeance stopped. It was less than 500 meters from Jorkin's flagship. A transmission came through, not as an image, but as a voice, deep, cold, and perfectly clear. Admirals of the Orion border fleets, you are trespassing. Jorkin snarled. This is craft territory. Identify yourself. The voice ignored him. You attacked without cause. Your weapons are now mine. Your ships are mine. Your lives depend on your answer to one question. There was silence. Every alien officer leaned forward, hearts pounding. Where is the council that exiled Earth? A wave of shock hit the fleets. They all knew the story. Long ago, the United Galaxy had banished humans from space, sealing them inside their system after a violent war. They were supposed to be gone forever, and yet here was a human warship, stronger than anything they had ever seen. The first demonstration when no one answered. The Vengeance acted. It turned slightly, aiming toward one of the craft cruisers. There was no flash, no missile, no beam. The cruiser simply crushed in on itself, as if pulled by an invisible force. Its hull crumpled like paper, its crew screaming before the signal cut out. Then it was gone, compacted into a floating ball of twisted metal. The voice returned. Answer me, or more will follow. An alien admiral from the Zevan Alliance finally spoke, his voice trembling. The Galactic Council is in the core worlds, near the Celesta Gate. There was a pause. Good. The alien crews felt the grip on their ship's release. Systems flickered back to life. Communications returned. Engines roared. The Vengeance began to turn away, but before leaving, the voice gave one last message. Tell the Council. We are coming. And then the ship vanished. No warp flash, no jump tunnel. It simply faded into nothing. Aftermath. Orion border fleets were left in silence. Thousands of alien officers stood frozen at their stations, staring at dead screens and listening to the echoes of that last threat. Many didn't believe it was real. Others wanted to run to their homeworlds and prepare for war. But deep inside, every commander felt the same cold truth. They had just faced a power beyond anything they had ever known. The galaxy had thought humans were weak, primitive, forgotten. They were wrong. Ending cliffhanger for Part 1, Far Away. In the empty darkness between stars, the HS Vengeance reappeared. Inside its command deck, a man stood alone, looking at the map of the galaxy. His eyes were hard, his voice quiet. 3 centuries of exile. 3 centuries of silence. No more. He turned to the ship's AI. Set course for the core worlds. It's time. They remembered who we are. The ship's dark hull shimmered once before it vanished into nothingness again. The news spread faster than any ship could travel. Across the galaxy. In markets, military stations, and royal courts, whispers began. The Orion border fleets were defeated by one ship. They didn't even fire a visible weapon. It was human. No one knew the full details, but fragments of stories leaked from terrified crew members who had survived. Alien merchants in the Vega markets told tales of ships going dark. Miners in the asteroid belts spoke of a black blade-shaped vessel that appeared from nothing. And in the shadowed halls of the Galactic Council, the most powerful leaders in the universe sat in uneasy silence. For centuries, humanity had been a ghost, exiled, contained, forgotten. Now that ghost had returned, armed with something far more dangerous than anyone expected. A council in panic in the massive, shining chamber of the Galactic Council. Representatives of all major civilizations argued loudly. The Craft Dominion's delegate slammed his clawed hand against the table. It was no myth. Our fleets were paralyzed. Our systems died like candles in a storm. The Zevan Alliance's ambassador, a crystalline being whose body glowed faintly, shook with visible fear. We fired our most powerful weapons. Nothing touched it. The ship ignored plasma, antimatter, even disruptor beams. An older, slow-speaking member of the council from the insectoid thrall species raised a question. And you are certain it was human? The craft delegate hissed. The voice called itself HS Vengeance, and it asked about the council that exiled Earth. The room went quiet. That exile had been long buried in the galaxy's history. The official story was that humans were too violent, too unpredictable. They were forced to remain in their home system, guarded by automated watch fleets, cut off from the stars. But somehow, they had escaped. The survivors' stories on the far edge of the Orion sector. Survivors from the encounter were gathered in a medical station. The crews were shaken, some unable to speak without trembling. One Zevan pilot described what he saw. The ship. It didn't move like anything I've seen. No warp, no jump tunnel, no thrusters. It was just there. One moment empty space. The next moment, a shadow moving closer. A craft engineer added, "Our systems didn't fail. They were taken. Something got inside our computers, inside the ship's mind. And it wasn't a virus. It was like a living thing." A Velnary officer whispered, "They didn't kill us all. They could have, but they let us go." That means they wanted this story to spread. And spread it did. Fear turns to chaos within weeks. Smaller civilizations began closing their borders. Merchant routes were abandoned. Patrol fleets withdrew from distant sectors. The usual confidence of the great empires started to fade. The galaxy was used to war. Battles between empires happened every few decades. But this was different. No one had ever heard of a single ship defeating 7 fleets without losing so much as a scratch. Whispers turned into predictions. If they have one ship like that, how many more do they have? What if they've been building an entire fleet in secret? What if they want revenge? The spies' mission among those desperate for answers was the Zevan Alliance. Their leader, High Strategist Vera, decided to send a spy to find out the truth. That spy was Talis Rin, a skilled infiltrator known for blending into alien cultures. Her mission was clear: enter the Sol system, learn what humanity had become, and report back. Talis traveled under the disguise of a merchant ship captain, her vessel carrying harmless cargo. She approached the restricted zone, the area the galaxy had long believed still held automated watch fleets to keep humans trapped. But when she arrived, the watch fleets were gone. The sector was empty. First glimpse of the human system, Talis crossed into human space cautiously. Her sensors picked up strange signals, encrypted transmissions she couldn't decode. She expected to see primitive stations, maybe a few slow colony ships. Instead, she saw giant orbital cities, each large enough to hold millions of people. Ships of all sizes moved in perfect formation, their hulls smooth and dark like the Vengeance. Some were even larger, massive capital ships shaped like wings, bristling with weapon ports, and there were hundreds of them. Her hands tightened on the controls. This is impossible. The unexpected interception before she could turn away. A black ship appeared directly in her path. It was smaller than the Vengeance, but still larger than her freighter. A voice came through. "Unidentified vessel. You are in human territory. State your reason for entry." Talis tried to sound calm. "This is Captain Talis of the merchant vessel Silent Current. I am here to trade." There was a pause. "Your cargo is irrelevant. Prepare for boarding." Inside, the Lion's Denalis's ship was guided into a massive docking bay inside. The black warship. She stepped out, trying not to show fear. Human soldiers in dark armor surrounded her. Their faces were visible, strong, hard-eyed, and utterly calm. One of them spoke. "The Admiral will see you." She was taken through long, clean corridors until she entered a command chamber. At its center stood Admiral Kane, the same man whose voice had echoed across the Orion border. He studied her for a moment. "A spy from the Zevan Alliance." Talis tried to deny it, but Kane smiled faintly. "Don't bother. We know who you are. The question is, will you leave here alive?" The human truth Kane walked to a large viewing screen and activated it. A map of the galaxy appeared, with dozens of red marks scattered across it. 3 centuries ago, you locked us in our home system. You thought we were finished. But while you fought your petty wars, we built, we learned, we prepared. The map zoomed in on the Sol system, showing vast shipyards, orbital cities, and entire fleets hidden in asteroid fields. The Vengeance is not our strongest ship, it's simply the first you've seen. Talus swallowed hard. Why show me this? Kane's eyes were cold. Because you will tell your leaders exactly what you saw. And when they hear it, they will know there is no place in this galaxy we cannot reach. The message of Talus was escorted back to her ship. The humans allowed her to leave, but only after they uploaded a message into her navigation system. As her ship left human space, she played the message. It was Kane's voice again. Tell them the age of exile is over. The age of humanity has begun. Ending cliffhanger for Part 2. Back in the core worlds, Talus's report spread like wildfire. The Galactic Council gathered in emergency session. Some called for immediate war. Others urged surrender before war began. But before they could decide, a new signal appeared in every star system, the same deep human voice. You have 30 days. Prepare yourselves. And then the signal ended. The galaxy had 30 days before humanity's return. The HS Vengeance drifted through the cold dark between the stars. From the outside, it looked like a blade carved from pure shadow, smooth and deadly. Inside, Admiral Kane stood in the command chamber, his hands clasped behind his back. The holographic map in front of him showed the core worlds in glowing light, but his eyes were on a single flashing point, the location of the Galactic Council. Kane was a man who rarely spoke without reason. But when he did, every word carried weight. He had seen humanity's rise from exile. He had commanded the building of its war fleets. And he had given one promise to his people: when the time came, the galaxy would remember Earth. The ship's AI, Aegis, spoke in a calm, precise voice. Admiral, our scans show increased fleet activity near the Celesta Gate. The Council is preparing defenses. Kane's lips curved in a faint smile. Good, let them prepare. It will make no difference. Flashback, the years of Exile 3. 100 years earlier, humanity had been defeated. Not by a single empire, but by all of them together. The Galactic Council had decided that humans were too dangerous to be left free among the stars. Their wars were brutal, their tactics unpredictable, and their will to survive unmatched. The Council's answer was exile. They sealed the Sol system. With automated watch fleets, cutting humanity off from every star beyond their sun. They destroyed Earth's colonies, dismantled its space stations, and left the humans with nothing but their homeworld. At first, despair filled the planet. Trade was gone, resources were limited. The people thought they would wither away in isolation. But something else happened. Humanity adapted. They dug deep into their planet and built hidden factories. They mined asteroids in secret, avoiding the watch fleets. They learned to make warships in pieces, assembling them in places the Council's sensors never reached. Over decades, the technology grew more advanced, faster engines, stronger armor, and weapons that no alien had ever seen. The birth of the Vengeance, the HS Vengeance, was the first of its kind, a living warship. Part machine, part artificial. Intelligence, the AI Aegis, was not just a program. It could think, learn, and adapt faster than any crew. It could predict enemy movements before they happened, disable entire fleets without firing a shot, and strike with weapons no shield. Could block. Kane had been chosen as its captain for one reason. He understood war better than anyone alive. He had fought as a young man in the last days of the Exile Wars. He had seen friends die, cities burn, and entire fleets fall to alien guns. That memory never left him. When the Vengeance was completed, Kane swore to use it for one purpose: to make the galaxy pay for the centuries of humiliation. Present, a spy's return on the bridge. Kane reviewed a report from Aegis. The alien spy, Talis Rin, had been allowed to leave with a warning. She would carry the truth to the Council. Humanity was no longer weak. Aegis's voice echoed softly. "Do you believe she will deliver the message as intended?" Kane nodded. "She will, and fear will do the rest. The Council will waste their time building walls they think can stop us. But they will never understand. We already know every weakness in their defenses." The crew's loyalty, though the Vengeance was run by Aegis, it still carried a crew, the best soldiers and officers from every corner of human space. They were bound by loyalty, not just to Kane, but to the cause itself. Commander Lyra, Kane's second-in-command, approached. She was tall, sharp-eyed, and had served with Kane for over 20 years. "Admiral, we intercepted encrypted transmissions from the Craft Dominion. They are recalling fleets from the outer sectors." Kane's smile was cold. "Good, they are concentrating their forces. That will make them easier to break." Lyra hesitated for a moment. "Sir, when we win, what happens then?" Kane turned to face her fully. "When we win, the galaxy will finally be ours, and humanity will never bow again." The hidden fleet, the Vengeance, altered course, gliding toward a sector marked only as a dead zone on alien charts. To the galaxy, it was an empty, uninhabitable region with no stars bright enough to support life. To humanity, it was the hiding place of their greatest secret. As the ship passed through the darkness, massive shadows began to appear. Ship after ship emerged: Titanic warships, carriers, stealth cruisers, and gunships, all painted in the same black armor as the Vengeance. There were thousands of them. Every vessel was armed with weapons the galaxy had never seen. Some had hulls that could bend light, making them invisible. Others carried planet-cracking warheads. All of them were ready to move. Aegis spoke again. "All fleet units are at full combat readiness, Admiral." Kane looked at the endless line of ships and felt the old fire burning in his chest. "Then it begins." The IS power, what made the Vengeance and its sister ships truly unstoppable, was not their weapons, it was Aegis. Linked across the fleet, the AI network could coordinate every movement, every attack, every defense instantly. No alien commander could match its speed. No strategy could surprise it. Aegis was not just a war machine. It was a predator. When alien ships tried to run, it would cut off their engines. When they tried to hide, it would find them. When they fought, it would tear their systems apart before the first shot landed. And Aegis had one rule: humanity first. Always. The first step toward the core. Kane gathered his officers in the strategy chamber. A massive hologram of the galaxy floated above the table. Red markers showed alien fleets. Blue markers showed human forces. "The Council has 30 days before we strike," Kane began. "But we will not wait. We will take their border sectors. Now every ship we leave behind will serve as a warning: surrender or vanish." The officers nodded. There was no debate, no hesitation. Every person in the room had lost something to the exile: a family member, a home, a future. This was not just war. It was justice. First blood, the Vengeance led the attack. Its target: a heavily fortified outpost on the edge of the Craft Dominion. The outpost controlled one of the main hyperspace lanes into the core worlds. The alien garrison saw the Vengeance appear and immediately launched every ship they had. Kane watched calmly as they approached. Aegis, silence them. The black warship emitted a low pulse. Within seconds, the alien ships were dead in space, engines cold, weapons useless. Kane's voice echoed across the comms. "This is Admiral Kane of the United Human Fleet. Surrender your station, or be erased." There was no answer. Kane gave the order. A single shot from the Vengeance's main weapon struck the outpost. No explosion, no fire. The structure simply folded in on itself, crushed by invisible force until nothing remained but a drifting sphere of metal. The message spreads. The fall of the Krath outpost shook the galaxy. The alien news channels tried to hide the truth, but the survivor stories spread. Entire fleets were refusing to engage the humans, fearing the same fate as the Orion border forces. Some alien leaders began sending secret messages to Kane, offering to surrender without a fight. Kane accepted some and destroyed others, just to make the fear grow faster. The promise late in the night cycle, Kane stood alone on the bridge. The stars stretched endlessly before him, but his mind was on Earth, the planet that had suffered in silence for centuries. He remembered walking through the ruins of old cities as a young soldier, seeing the scars left by alien bombardment. He remembered the vow he had made that day. They will never hurt us again. Aegis's voice interrupted his thoughts. Admiral, shall I prepare the fleet for the next strike? Kane nodded slowly. Yes, we move at dawn. The galaxy thinks. They know war, but they have never fought humanity at its strongest. Ending cliffhanger for Part 3, as the fleet prepared to move. A sudden signal cut through the comm systems. It was heavily encrypted, but Aegis broke it instantly. It was a message from deep in the core worlds. To Admiral Kane. We know who you are, and we know how to stop you. Kane's eyes narrowed. Interesting. Let them try. The Vengeance's engines roared to life, and the fleet began its march toward the heart of the galaxy. The core worlds had never seen such activity. Every shipyard, every fleet dock, every military base was alive with movement. Massive warships floated in formation, their hulls shining with the colors of their empires. This was the Titan Armada, the combined might of the Galactic Council. It was the largest gathering of military power in recorded history. Thousands of capital ships, millions of fighters, and weapons strong enough to destroy planets were all waiting for one enemy. That enemy was humanity. The Council's plan was simple: crush the humans in one massive battle before their influence spread. They believed that if the Titan Armada destroyed the HS's Vengeance, humanity's morale would break, and the rest of their fleet would scatter. They were wrong. The calm before the storming the command chamber of the Vengeance, Admiral Kane stood over a large holographic projection of the battlefield. The Titan Armada's position was clear, an impenetrable wall around the Celesta Gate, the main jump route into the core worlds. Commander Lyra studied the display with narrowed eyes. It's a fortress, no weak points. They've packed everything they have into one defense line. Kane's voice was calm, almost amused. Fortresses don't matter when you can walk through walls. The AI, Aegis, spoke with precision. Enemy numbers: 3,412 warships, including 54 dreadnoughts and 9 supercarriers. Estimated firepower exceeds ours by traditional measures. Kane's smile was thin. Traditional measures don't apply to us. The fleet moves. The Vengeance led the human fleet into position just outside the Titan Armada's sensor range. Thousands of human warships floated silently in the darkness, their black armor making them almost invisible. Every ship's systems were sensed with Aegis. Every weapon was armed. Every soldier knew what this battle meant. Kane's voice carried across the fleet-wide channel. For 3 centuries, they kept us in chains. Today, we break them. Today, the galaxy learns that humanity does not kneel. The fleet responded with a single, unified roar. First contact: the moment the human fleet crossed the sensor line, the Titan Armada came to life. Alien captains shouted orders. Carriers launched swarms of fighters. Dreadnoughts turned their massive cannons toward the incoming ships. The Council's flagship, a massive golden battleship called the Celesta's Wrath, opened the channel. The voice of Supreme Commander Jorvac filled the comms. This is your only warning, humans. Turn back now or be destroyed. Kane replied with cold certainty. You've had 3 centuries of warnings. Time's up. The battle begins. The Titan Armada fired first. Beams of plasma, railgun slugs the size of buildings, and antimatter torpedoes filled space. The human fleet did not evade. Instead, a shimmering distortion field appeared in front of their ships. The alien weapons simply vanished. The shots entered the field and never came out. Alien crews shouted in confusion. Our weapons are disappearing. Shields are useless. They're not even taking damage. The human fleet returned fire. Their weapons were different. Silent pulses of gravity, invisible beams that bent space, kinetic slugs moving faster. Then light. Alien shields didn't even slow them down. One craft dreadnought folded in half like paper. A Zevon carrier exploded without warning, its reactors crushed by a focused gravity spike. Within the first 2 minutes, 40 alien warships were gone. The enemy pushes back despite the losses. The Titan Armada did not break. Their numbers were still overwhelming. Waves of fighters swarmed toward the Vengeance, hoping to overwhelm it with sheer mass. Aegis responded instantly. The Vengeance's hull shimmered, and hundreds of small ports opened. From them, tiny black drones shot out, each moving faster than any fighter. The drones didn't fire weapons. They simply touched the enemy craft, and the craft went dead, drifting LIFEL, ESSLY in less than a minute. The fighter swarm was gone. The flagship duel, the Celesta's Wrath, pushed forward, firing its massive planet killer cannon. A beam of pure energy tore through space, striking the Vengeance head-on. The blast was bright enough to blind nearby sensors. But when the light faded, the Vengeance was untouched. Kane gave the order. Aegis, remove their teeth. A single shot left the Vengeance. It struck the Celesta's Wrath, and the entire front half of the golden battleship collapsed inward. Its weapons crushed beyond repair. Supreme Commander Jorvak's voice came again, this time shaking. What are you?" Kane's reply was cold. "We're the ones you exiled, and now we've come home." The turning point, the battle raged for another hour, but the outcome was clear. The Titan Armada was falling apart. Their formations broke, their weapons failed. Ship after ship surrendered, broadcasting distress calls. Kane offered no mercy to those who resisted. Entire fleets were erased in seconds. The battlefield became a graveyard of twisted metal. Finally, the last alien. Ships retreated toward the Celesta Gate. Kane did not pursue. Instead, he let them run. The survivors would carry the message deeper into the core worlds. Humanity could not be stopped. Aftermath. The human fleet hovered among the wreckage. Salvage drones moved between destroyed ships, collecting data and resources. The victory was absolute. Commander Lyra approached Kane. "The Titan Armada is gone. The path to the core is open." Kane nodded slowly. "Good, then we move forward," Aegis spoke. "Admiral, multiple alien governments are sending surrender signals. Some offer their fleets in exchange for protection." Kane considered this. "Accept those who kneel. Destroy those who resist." The galaxy reacts. News of the Titan Armada's defeat spread like fire. Entire worlds began evacuating their leaders. Some planets declared loyalty to humanity without a single human soldier landing on their soil. Others prepared desperate last stands. The Galactic Council, now exposed and vulnerable, sent urgent messages to every remaining fleet. They knew humanity was coming, but Kane wasn't planning to simply take the core worlds. He wanted the Council itself, every member who had voted for Earth's exile. The final march begins. The Vengeance led the fleet through the Celesta Gate. Beyond it lay the heart of the galaxy, rich worlds, ancient cities, and the councils. Shining capital. Kane stood on the bridge, watching the stars shift as they emerged from the jump. For centuries, they thought we were gone. Now they will see us everywhere. Aegis's voice carried a hint of satisfaction. The galaxy is already bending, Admiral. Soon it will kneel. Kane's eyes hardened. No, it won't kneel. It will serve. Ending cliffhanger for Part 4A. The fleet moved deeper into the core worlds. A strange signal reached the Vengeance. It was not from the Council. It was not from any known empire. It was a single, short message. We have been waiting for you, Admiral Kane. We know what you seek. But humanity is not the only one with a weapon like the Vengeance. Kane's expression darkened. Aegis, find them. The hunt had begun. The stars beyond the Celestia Gate were calm, but Admiral Kane knew the calm was a lie. The message they had received after the Titan Armada's defeat still played in his mind. We have been waiting for you. Admiral Kane, we know what you seek. But humanity is not the only one with a weapon like the Vengeance. It was a voice without a face, without an origin. No known empire had claimed it. No records matched it. Even Aegis could not trace it. That was impossible. Kane stood on the bridge, staring into the dark expanse ahead. They're hiding, he said quietly. And anyone who can hide from us is dangerous. A shadow in the dark. Commander Lyra approached, her expression tense. Admiral, scans show no ships in the next 5 sectors. It's empty. 2. Empty, Kane nodded. They want us to feel safe. That means they want us to drop our guard. Aegis's calm voice filled the bridge. Probability suggests they will reveal themselves when the conditions are most favorable for them and least favorable for us. Kane's eyes narrowed. Then we find them first. The Vengeance and the human fleet spread out, scanning. Every asteroid field, every hidden moon, every pocket of dark space. Days passed without a trace. The crew grew restless. And then they found it. The graveyard and outpost on the far edge of a dying star system reported strange readings. Kane took the Vengeance to investigate. When they arrived, the sight was like a nightmare. Hundreds of massive warships floated in the void, their hulls twisted and shattered. They were not alien designs Kane recognized. They were different. Aegis analyzed the wrecks. These ships are not part of any known fleet. Technology is advanced. Weapon damage suggests they were destroyed by a single concentrated force. Commander Lyra's voice was tight. Who could destroy a fleet like this? It's bigger than the Titan Armada. Kane stepped closer to the viewport, his voice low. Whoever sent that message. The ambush without warning, the space around them rippled, as if reality itself was bending. Out of the darkness, ships appeared. Not through hyperspace, not through jump drives. They simply phased into existence. The bridge went silent as the crew saw them, sleek, black vessels, with no markings, moving like predators. Their hulls shimmered with some kind of adaptive camouflage, making them almost invisible until they attacked. A voice came over the comms. This time, it was calm, almost polite. Admiral Kane, you've been impressive. But this is where your story ends, Kane answered without hesitation. We'll see about that. The first clash, the black ships struck first. Their weapons were unlike anything the humans had seen. Silent beams that sliced through space, bending light around them. 2 human destroyers were cut apart before they even fired back. Kane ordered an immediate counterattack. The Vengeance's main guns roared, firing gravity pulses. But the black ships dodged with impossible speed. Aegis calculated quickly. Their maneuverability exceeds ours. Their weapons bypass standard shielding. However, their power signatures are unstable. Kane smiled coldly. So they're fast, but fragile. Let's break them. Turning the hunt, the Vengeance switched tactics. Instead of chasing the black ships, it began forcing them into choke points, using gravity fields to control their movement. When one black ship was caught in the field, it couldn't dodge. The Vengeance fired a focused mass driver slug, and the enemy ship shattered like glass. The other black ships adapted quickly, spreading out to avoid the traps. But the humans were faster this time. Small hunter-killer drones launched from the Vengeance, chasing the enemy ships relentlessly. One by one, the black vessels fell. The commander revealed in the middle of the battle. One massive black warship appeared, larger than the Vengeance. Its hull was covered in glowing lines, pulsing like veins of light. A new voice came over the comms, deeper and colder than before. "Admiral Kane, I am Lord Sereth of the Shadow Dominion, and you have just made my list." Kane's reply was, "Calm, I don't care about your list. You're in my way." Sereth laughed, a sound that made the crew uneasy. "We are not in your way, Kane. We are the only ones who can match you. Every empire fears you, but we do not." A battle of giants, the Vengeance and Sereth's flagship clashed in the middle of the void. Each shot shook space itself. Gravity. Weapons tore at shields. Energy lances cut into armor. The fight was unlike anything the crew had ever seen. Both ships took heavy damage, but neither broke. Aegis reported damage across multiple decks. "Admiral, our forward shields are at 20%. Hull integrity is dropping." Kane's voice was steady. "We hold, no matter what." Finally, with a perfectly timed strike, the Vengeance's main cannon hit Sereth's flagship dead center. The blast didn't destroy it, but it forced the Shadow Dominion to retreat. The warning as the black ships phased out of existence, Sereth's voice came one last time. "This is not over, Kane. You may take the core worlds, but you will never hold them. We are the darkness between the stars, and we are watching." Kane stood silently as the enemy vanished. Commander Lyra finally spoke. "What now?" Kane's eyes were hard. "Now we take the council. And when they come for us again, we'll be ready." The final push the human fleet reformed, repairing damage and resupplying. They had survived the Shadow Dominion's ambush, but the cost was high. Kane knew the Dominion would strike again, but the Council still stood at the heart of the galaxy, and they needed to fall before anything else. The Vengeance set course for the Council's capital world. The war was entering its final stage. Ending cliffhanger for Part 5A as the fleet moved toward its final target. Aegis interrupted Kane with urgent news. "Admiral, we've intercepted Council communications. They are calling for help not from their fleets, but from the Shadow Dominion." Kane's expression turned to steel. "So they've made their choice. They've chosen the darkness." His voice was cold and certain. "Then we'll burn them both." The stars blinked cold and bright as the HS's Vengeance led the human fleet through the twisting paths of the core worlds. Every system they passed was heavy with tension. The Galactic Council's capital world lay ahead, shining like a jewel, but hiding dark secrets. Admiral Kane stood tall on the bridge, his face unreadable. The war had reached its peak. After the brutal attack from the Shadow Dominion, the Council had no choice but to ask for help. The enemy they had feared now stood beside them. Kane's voice was low but filled with steel. "They've chosen to fight with darkness. Then we fight fire with fire." The Alliance of Convenience, the Council's leaders gathered in the glowing halls of the capital's command center. Their faces were tired and pale, shadows under their eyes from endless sleepless nights. Supreme Commander Jorvik spoke harshly. "Admiral Kane, we never wanted this war, but the Shadow Dominion is a threat to all of us." Kane's eyes never left the holomap. His tone was cold. "Your fear made you bargain with monsters. You think that will save you?" Jorvik swallowed. He knew Kane's truth. The Council's power had weakened, and now they depended on the enemy they had tried to ignore. Kane's fleet was ready. His ships gleamed with black armor and humming weapons. The Vengeance pulsed with energy, its eye Aegis, silently calculating every move. "We fight both of you," Kane said. "No exceptions." The battlefield forms outside, two enormous fleets awaited. On one side, The Council's remaining ships formed a defensive line. They fired warning shots at anyone who moved too close. On the other, the Shadow Dominion's dark ships glided silently. Their strange technology made them hard to track, and their weapons could rip through shields in seconds. The human fleet took position between the two forces. Kane's orders were clear: strike fast, hard, and without mercy. Commander Lyra leaned close. They outnumber us, twice, maybe more. Kane's gaze hardened. Numbers mean nothing if their weapons can't touch us. The opening salvo, the silence broke with a roar. The Shadow Dominion fired first. Beams of black energy tore toward the human fleet. Ships twisted and exploded in brilliant bursts of fire, but the humans held steady. Aegis activated the shield grids, a new kind of barrier that bent light and energy away, making weapons miss like ghosts. The Vengeance responded, firing gravity pulses that bent enemy ships out of formation. Kane's voice rang over comms. Focus on the Shadow Dominion first. We break them here. The Council's betrayal as the battle raged. Kane noticed strange signals from the Council fleet. Ships that had been fighting suddenly turned away, retreating. Aegis analyzed the data fast. Admiral, the Council is pulling back. Their fire is weakening. Kane's jaw clenched. They're betraying us. They want us to fight the Shadow Dominion alone. Lyra's eyes widened. We need to adapt. We can't trust the Council anymore. Kane nodded sharply. Then we end this now. We destroy both fleets. A two-front war. The humans shifted tactics. The Vengeance led a furious strike against the Council's ships, catching them off guard. Explosions lit the dark void as friendly fire turned deadly. The Council's ships were strong but confused and disorganized at the same time. Other human warships fought the Shadow Dominion's elite forces. The battle was brutal and close. Fighters dodged beams and missiles. Boarding parties clashed. In airlocks and corridors, Kane stood at the center of the storm, directing his fleet with cold precision. No mercy, no surrender. The turning point after hours of fighting, the human fleet began to gain ground. The Shadow Dominion's ships showed cracks in their defenses. Their strange cloaking tech started to fail against Aegis's new sensors. On the Council's side, many ships began to surrender or flee. Kane's warning was clear: betray humanity and face destruction. The Vengeance closed on the Shadow Dominion flagship, the massive warship that had fought Kane before. Kane ordered the final strike. Aegis full power to the main cannon. A massive beam of energy shot out, cutting through the flagship's shields and tearing into its core. The flagship exploded in a brilliant storm of light and fire. Victory. And a price. The battlefield grew quiet. The Council's fleet was shattered. The Shadow Dominion was broken. Humanity stood alone, battered but undefeated. Kane watched the stars, knowing this was only the beginning. We won today, he said softly, but the galaxy will never be safe until we take control. Commander Lyra looked at him, tired but determined. And we will, together. A new era begins as the Vengeance and its fleet return to orbit. Over the Council's capital, Kane issued a broadcast across every system. To the people of the galaxy, your rulers have failed you. The Council's lies and cowardice brought this war. Humanity stands ready to lead. Join us or be left behind. Ships across the stars listened. Some prepared to resist, others to follow. Kane knew the road ahead would be long and hard. But one thing was certain: humanity was no longer the exile. Humanity was the galaxy's strongest power. Ending cliffhanger for Part 6, deep within a hidden bunker beneath the ruined Council capital. A shadow moved. A figure stood in front of a glowing console. Admiral Kane, the voice said quietly. This war is far from over. The console flashed. There is one weapon left, one power even you will fear. The figure turned slowly. Prepare yourself.